Hi, welcome back to Celebrating Culture. We're here today at Metairie Cemetery, which is one of the top 10 cemeteries in America. When if you're in New Orleans, it's a place to see. Part of the cemetery, there are about a dozen mausoleums that were erected during the 1880s and 1890s to the Italian societies. And I'm with Father Damian Zablocki. Father actually was here for All Saints' Day and blessed this tomb for Contessa Entellina. Father, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So Father, All Saints' Day in the Contessa Entellina group, these little towns all form these mausoleums. Did they reach out to you?
They've always invited me to come, and now that I'm a priest, I volunteered myself. I showed up anyway, I think, even if they didn't invite me, but they've always made sure to have me for any of the blessings or any of the get-togethers that they have.
Historically, All Saints' Day is a day for going to the cemeteries. The blessing that you do, where does that come from?
So the blessing that I use for that is really the blessing of graves from the Roman ritual, which is the traditional set of books before 1962, before the liturgy was updated.
Now this one, the Contessa Entellina group just restored this.
Yeah, it's beautiful, yeah.
We also saw that there's a need to restore other ones here.
They're some of the most beautiful monuments I've ever seen, and they're such a beautiful homages to all of the Italians that were here and the culture and to their faith. As time goes on and we lose some of those most important Italians here who are spreading the culture, and they kind of fall into disrepair because there's no one to make known that their family members are here anymore, or that they were built in honor of their towns where they came from.
From what I understand, in the early days when those villagers came in, they would get together per the town, whether it be Cefalù or Contessa Entellina. They would build a mausoleum, everyone would pitch in, so they had a place to be buried.
Yeah, the first one I actually know of is St. Louis #1. That one is a Sicilian tomb there. It has St. Helena standing on top of the Holy Cross.
Yes, and it's actually became more famous from Easy Rider.
Yeah.
Not for the right reasons, but you're right, that is the first one, and I think the gentleman that built it is actually buried in it.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful testimony to all of the blood, sweat, and tears that the Sicilians and the Italians in general put into the city of New Orleans.
You have one that's of interest to you to restore.
Yeah, I do. There's one in particular. It's from Piano dei Greci. I think it's now called Piano dell'Albanese. It has a beautiful carved image, statues of Our Lady that are actually from an icon of Our Lady of the Sign. So it's a statue of an icon. It was one of the first ones I had ever encountered here, and it was by mistake that I encountered it. I was driving around, and I spend a lot of time going there to visit and praying because it's a miraculous image from the town in Sicily.
But there's some other saints that the Sicilians really appreciate. St. Rosalie is one.
St. Rosalie, yes.
Can you tell me about her?
St. Rosalie, I had experienced the first time in Brooklyn on 18th Avenue, I believe it was. They have a huge feast day in honor of St. Rosalie. They have the Society of Santa Rosalia there. And I remember going to the procession and hearing people say, Viva la Santuzza. When I came to Louisiana and I thought there's going to be no Italians here, no Sicilians, I discovered the St. Rosalie procession at Our Lady Perpetual Help in Kenner. And so I had gone every single year and actually celebrated the Mass in honor of St. Rosalie.
She's actually connected to ending a pandemic.
Yeah, I believe they would bring her relics out whenever they were threatened with an illness and process the relics around. And one of the stories of her miraculous intercession was the plague had been hitting, and they brought the relics through the city, and it ended right after that.
And we see almost with COVID a resurgence of that connection.
A lot of the saints from Sicily and Italy were all ones who had a lot of miraculous intercessions, especially in sickness because it was so common.
You had a mass for St. Lucy.
A lot of the Italians venerate St. Lucy. A lot of people pray to her for her intercession with people who have problems with their eyes. And we have her relic, and people venerate it. And she's in Siracusa in Sicily.
Yes. Now, and also one that I found out in Independence was St. Expedite.
Yeah.
There's a statue of him at Our Lady of Guadalupe on Rampart Street.
So St. Expedite, so he was probably an early Christian martyr. Very often when the names were not found of the relics of who these martyrs were, they would give them names that corresponded to their virtues. Some people tell the story, he arrived in a case to New Orleans. A statue arrived and it said Expedite on the outside, so they thought it meant St. Expedite. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'd prefer to believe it was because of his virtue of praying so quickly for the people who go to him. He's holding up the cross that says hodie, which means today, and he's stamping on a crow, which says tomorrow. When it comes to our faith, when it comes to anything that we have to do relating to our salvation, we have to act now and not wait, because you never know if you will not have a tomorrow.
And I understand he almost became a martyr because he wanted to become a Christian so fast.
Those are beautiful stories taken from the Roman martyrology of those saints. So I have a lot of people around who are going to the parishes who desire to be saints now, so hopefully they learn from him.
From my travels, I found that Independence, there was actually a St. Expedite Society. That's how I first noticed him, that they had a banner there from the 1930s that someone had gotten through the Depression and built a chapel in honor of St. Expedite there.
I'd like to have some of these saints still venerated, so I know one of the banners was given for protection to the chapel of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, the Latin Mass chapel. So we're going to strive to have his feast day and make him more known again in the Catholic community here.
So Father, if somebody wants to find out more and learn more about the saints and St. Lucy,
we have a Facebook page, Our Lady of Mount Carmel Latin Mass Community on the North Shore. You can just Google Our Lady of Mount Carmel Covington. They can find it that way, and just call me. The phone rings directly to my pocket.
On All Saints Day, 2 to 3 o'clock, normally the Contessa and Entellina people are right where we are standing. But they have set aside November 1st to be here, and hopefully one day we'll see this whole row have people coming out to look at their ancestors, because there's a beautiful row of mausoleums.
It should. There's a lot of people who have relatives buried here. I'd like to get them back, and we have to pray for the dead. That's what our faith teaches us.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of Celebrating Culture.